Life must go on is a rather naive statement for people to say, because there are many people who cannot handle life that well, and more so than often, they do not continue living. It reminds me of this time when I was at my all time low, and the year was 2018. At that time, I was just graduated from my high school, and like most people around my age, I wanted to continue to college. So I signed up for PKKMB and did the test. However, it is not until receiving the final result that I realized I accidentally input a wrong major in my first choice. While the rest of the options were English majors, my first choice was Indonesian literature in UNP. I still have hopes that I will be accepted in the second choice instead, but I didn't. I got accepted in UNP in Indonesian literature. Things started to go downhill after that. I went to Padang probably in June, and for some times I stayed at a relative house. It is hard to adapt. I couldn't speak Minangis, I didn't know places, I didn't have friends, and not to forget to mention, the weather is way hotter here. Since I was not the most social person, making friends was a challenge for me. But after a while, I managed to make friends. I had a friend, but then in the second semester, he left because of financial issues. The second semester arrived. At first, I thought I would do just fine in Indonesian literature. Turns out, I was doing extremely bad in it. I got my GPA and it was horrible. I didn't have the courage to show it to my parents, so I faked it, and they were proud of me because my GPA was good. I also had moved to my own dorm house, and being alone did not help me with my slowly depleting mental health. Everything that happened around me started to get to me. I felt awful. I didn't have any friends, I didn't want to go out, I skipped class a lot, I didn't eat much, and I was losing sleep. People said it was just a bad day, but at that time, I felt like every single day was the worst that it could be. It was starting to affect me not only mentally, but also physically. But then I remembered my mom at home. She was perhaps one of the last grips I had. She used to video call me every time, though sometimes it was annoying, but she never stopped encouraging me. However, for some time, she stopped calling me. I got curious and decided to call. No one answered. It is not until I found out that she was sick and I was hospitalized. She told everyone not to tell me because she didn't want to disturb me. That made me feel even worse. After I figured it out, I decided to go back home and skip some classes because she had to go through surgery. Luckily, it was successful. And when she was recovering, I played the same card she used. I didn't want to disturb her in her recovery, so I told made up stories about how I was doing great in Padang. I told her I was fine, and she was happy for me. What she didn't know is that I was slowly falling apart and losing grips. I went back to Padang and everything started to culminate. I had many burdens in my mind, I had told lies, and now I had to live with it. I had expectations to achieve, and those expectations were getting unbearable at the moment. I was slowly getting worse, getting skinnier, and having insomnia. I felt like there was nowhere for me to go, and there were many more negative thoughts that I could not address in this video. I tried to reach out, but failed miserably. I remember saying to myself, I can't handle this right now. The only time that I felt good was when I was asleep, occasionally having a crying contest before going to bed. But when I woke up, things started to happen, I overthink again and couldn't do anything for the rest of the day. A wise man once said that sometimes a thought is closer to truth to reality than action. You can say anything, you can do anything, but you can't fake a thought. And that time I was thinking of not wanting to live. I'm thinking of ending things. Two years later, I am here. I'm still here, and I am writing the story. Now, despite being locked inside my own house, I have a decent life, and I still continue on living. You know the cliche saying, the storm will pass? It is unironically true, it did pass. I have gone through it. At that time, it might feel like everything was falling apart, but I knew that ending things was not the only viable options. If there was something that could save me, it would be myself. So I did. I pulled myself together and luckily things worked out for me. Now I am an English literature student, like I always wanted to. I have made some great friends and have gotten a better GPA without having to sabotage it. And now, without exaggeration, I am better. I knew that I have experienced the worst time of my life, and I knew that it would not be the last time, but when the next depressive episode pays a visit, I know I can handle it. And oh yeah, very last one, a side note, a footnote. For me from the past, me from 3 years ago, thank you for not giving up on yourself.
I wanna be somebody. Me 2.0